Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. The video podcast everyone's looking forward to has dropped on the Vile Files channel. It's Greg Grippo and Victoria Fuller defending themselves against cheating allegations and so much more. Victoria says, we are not healthy. We are so effing toxic. Her and Johnny, that is, but she could also be talking about Bachelor Nation as a whole. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, at DNeals on Instagram. So yeah, I'm going to break this down into 3 videos right here, okay? So this is video number 1 of the day. I'm going to share how Victoria defends herself. In video 2, we have Johnny deleting his response. Johnny had a quick response, to which he's deleted it. We'll get more into the timeline there. And speaking of timelines, we've got the full information on Rome. Victoria admits to initiating relationship with Greg Grippo. Now, this third video, there is a very interesting moment there where Victoria breaks down and shares information that seems to be something she might have wanted left out. We wonder this, and we need the X-Files music as we always do, but we wonder this. Within this video, why did it take so long to get up? It was supposed to be up yesterday. I'm assuming midday would be the best time to get it up. So why did it take them until last night to get this video up? Were there parts deleted? We're having fun with the conspiracy. I'll say this. Before I play it, I think Nick did about as good a job as he could do, considering he's friends with Victoria. I think I'll tell you what, I live in a world where I believe Johnny's side of the story, and I also believe Victoria's side. And I say, how can you believe both sides? Well, that's just the way I live. I don't see a reason why either one of them are lying. There are so many nuances to this situation that I believe both can lean on the truths that prove their point. So Victoria's not going to disclose information that would incriminate her, and Johnny vice versa. So I understand that they're both going to pretty much try to save as much face as possible at this point. Now, if anyone wants to talk about this, I've got a chat room happening here on my community on Facebook, Dave Neal's community, and you can just go to this comment thread right here that I've got. Also in the same comment thread, I have all my updated shows that are happening in New York City. Tonight, Greenwich Village, I have a show that has complimentary tickets, but you have to talk to me first and get on my guest list. So if you want to do that, let me know. Leave a comment, DM me, whatever. If you want to come to my show tonight, Greenwich Village tomorrow night, we'll have a show at West Side Comedy Club in the Upper West Side, and then Friday I'll have some shows in the East Village and West Village. All right, so let's get right into it. Let's play this video, and make sure to subscribe because I have 2 more videos coming out. You don't want to miss them.
That was sort of like the conversation leading up to Paradise. But yeah, we had hung out in group settings with you and Natalie. We were at the Super Bowl party at Revolve. And then prior to that, we had met at Gov Ball, but there was no plotting and scheming going into Paradise like a lot of couples do.
And what about from your standpoint, Greg? Like, were you? What were your thoughts on Victoria prior to Paradise?
I was always attracted to her, but we didn't have anything serious prior at all. I was in a relationship. I was in and out of it with somebody overseas.
So Greg was dating a girl named Clemence in Paris. Of course, probably not too serious considering they were transatlantic. But in this case, Greg says nothing serious was happening. I don't think this is one of those things where you defend a point that wasn't made. And by the way, I think Greg comes off fantastic here. I think Greg's a good human. I think Greg is trying the best. I don't think Greg wanted this drama. This is just one of those scenarios where, we have that saying, where is it? Hold on, folks. We got it over here. Be careful who you bang.
Be careful who you bang.
And that's of no disrespect to Victoria, but when you get into something, sometimes it comes with baggage, in which case he had to pay extra for the check on, or I should say, luggage that came with Victoria. All right, so we're going to get to Victoria explaining her chat with Greg. Let's jump right into that. And again, of course, I'm going to be jumping around. If you want to listen to the full thing, it's on Nick's YouTube channel.
I had a conversation with Johnny, and I was like, I just think because we're all going to be in the same circle, Johnny got really close with Andrew, and Andrew is Greg's best friend. And I was like, we're all going to be at events together. Like him and I, we did talk prior.
And by him and I, Victoria means Greg and her. And this is the moment where Victoria defends why she felt the need to communicate with Greg while she was with Johnny. She gets engaged to Johnny, and she's like, I'm going to have to call Greg and let him know, because Victoria defended herself by saying, we're all going to see each other, we're going to want to know. Now, you might say, well, he's going to find out either way. I could understand being like, no, like he already knows. Like, well, who cares? But, and that's it's her right to do, and Johnny was okay with that.
Just, had an interest in one another. And I thought, I'm just going to reach out to Greg and kind of be like, hey, this is kind of like what went down. And I hope that we can all still be in the same room and it be like cool. And I hope that you're happy. And I don't know where you stand in your current relationship, but I'm happy for you either way. And just he was my friend before.
What did you say? You wanted it to be you. What did you say to her in that moment?
I showed nothing but support. I was
very supportive.
I was genuinely happy that she was happy. I was like, hey,
very much like The Notebook. This is he plays the role of Ryan Gosling, I guess, in this story. He's building her a house, whatever. The Nicholas Sparks love story. We all cried. If you're a bird, I'm a bird. Hit the subscribe button. But anyway, so Greg Grippo found out that she was engaged from Andrew Spencer before he could do anything about it. He wanted Victoria to come back single. So anyway, Victoria gets upset at the 23-minute mark because she finds out, and this is a point of contention Johnny can agree with, Victoria finds out that Johnny's story from The Bachelorette. So she didn't like that he wasn't divulging this information beforehand. She had to find it out on air. The fact that Johnny wasn't ready for a relationship with Gabby, and she felt like it was a different person.
He was just like a breath of fresh air, but I didn't know much. And when I did ask him, he did kind of beat around the bush with it. I didn't really get a full story. It never was, because looking back now that I've seen his season, he never divulged that information to me.
Now, I got to tell you guys, stick around. We're going to get to the different parts of the timeline where she admits to throwing the wine glass. It's worth a listen, so stick around for that.
What information?
That he just was not at a place in his life to settle down and be married, and I think that was his.
So you had no.
So in the next video, we're gonna discuss more about Johnny's career and the information where Victoria was kind of and by the way, she comes off very well. She wasn't shaming him for not having all of his ducks in a row, but she was upset that he didn't exactly disclose all of the things he was either working on or not working on or fabricating. But I want to get to the wine throwing scene. So we're going to go back to that in the next video here. But we're going to go to the wine throwing scene because it's pretty intense. This is where she threw a glass of wine and it shattered. Not at him, she says, but she did admit to throwing it.
So I would love to understand why you didn't want to work on things even though you guys were engaged.
I did want to work on things at the beginning. I wanted to give it the time to see if it could really work outside of Paradise. And I put effort into it. I wasn't just wiping my hands clean because it wasn't working in a couple weeks. But when things get toxic so fast, especially me who's been in multiple toxic relationships before, the minute that I catch wind of that, I know what that looks like.
But you got when you say what something looks like, you really got to look in the mirror there, because she says I've been in multiple toxic situations before, and it's you have to see what you're bringing to the table. Not saying that Johnny's not.
And if I'm having issues a month and a half in of being engaged, not only being engaged, but meeting this person, one and a half months of meeting somebody, and it's already getting to the point where, I'm yelling at him. He's calling me terrible names. Maybe I'm throwing a wine glass.
There it is. Wait. So now Nick's upset because she buried his lead.
Whatever. It's out there.
So, all right.
But look, if you listen to this, you can totally understand how Victoria is a very charming person. She's a good friend to all of them. We only are listening to her side of how these stories went down. again, I can understand why other people wouldn't have a problem with her, because it's only like something where like when you're in a serious, heavy relationship, do you get the toxicity, as she mentioned? And she mentions it. She says, I've had a lot of toxicity in relationships. So it doesn't present itself with friendships. It's just with the one and only.
When it gets that toxic that quick, I'm not gonna stay.
Yeah. So was there a wine glass thrown?
Yes.
How did that happen?
Well, Nick, just being completely honest, because I want to take like ownership for what I did in the relationship, because it wasn't all him. And even though he may not have been completely transparent with me from the start, like I was not a fucking angel. Yeah, we got in a really, really heated fight. It was 3 weeks in. We were at our first happy couple trip. And we were watching back his season with Gabby, one of his dates with Gabby, and he had a shaved face on the episode.
Okay.
And he had a beard with me at that point. And he was like, gosh, I look so much better with a beard. I wish I had a beard on this episode or during filming.
Sure, yeah. I relate.
Yeah, right. Okay, everyone looks better with facial hair. Yeah. And he was like, they would have made me the Bachelor had I had a beard.
I'm assuming he was joking.
Well, I mean, there's truth.
There's a weird cut there, by the way. After he said, I'm assuming she was joking, and we could hear it in the audio, a weird cut
to every joke.
Sure. Okay.
Is what
she said. There's truth to every joke. Yeah. Okay. But so she's not saying he wasn't joking.
In that moment, being his fiance,
the fiance should say, "Baby, you could have been the Bachelor. You would have been great." Yeah, I don't know.
I'm like, first off, why are you saying that? And second of all, no, you weren't going to be the Bachelor. And not to be mean, but I was top 3 in my season, and I wasn't the Bachelorette.
So she goes, not to be mean, but boy, geez, you never want to be in a relationship where someone says not to be mean, but because you're about to get your soul crushed.
So they already have these things like pre-planned. There wasn't going to be this big to-do because now Johnny had a beard and he was going to be Bachelor.
Well, we know it wasn't pre-planned. Zach ended up becoming the Bachelor, and he was also a serious finisher. So just because Victoria had a scenario where she wasn't made Bachelorette, which, by the way, would have been a hilarious season if Victoria was Bachelorette. Oh, my gosh. Oh, she would have scorched that earth. But either way, it is a little bit like you can kind of understand how quickly this can get abrasive.
I'm sorry. Like, it's just honesty.
No, I get it.
It's just honesty.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
And he looked at me and he was like, yeah, coming from somebody who was known to be a homewrecker.
Ooh, boy.
And in that moment, I'm like, you're supposed to be my person, like, who uplifts me and, like, doesn't use what the general public has said about me. Like, you're supposed to be on my team. Now,
people might think I've got one side or the other on this. I don't. I truly don't. I don't know Johnny. I don't know Victoria. I don't know these people, okay? I truly don't. And Johnny should not call her homewrecker. Oh, my gosh. You know what I mean? But that's why I wonder what was actually said before that part to get to that point. That's what I wonder. You know what I mean? I go, he didn't just out of the blue throw the homewrecker thing at you. And if he did, that's wild.
And I was so hurt and frustrated. I left. I walked outside. I called my best friend. I just used that against me. And it was so hurtful.
Then
the glass, you know. So then I come back inside. I'm kind of, he goes outside. He calls one of his friends and he's like telling him about the fight that we just got into. And he's like, yeah, and I called her a fucking homewrecker and she's like wigging out. And I like overheard the conversation and I like opened up the door because we're at a happy couple, and I threw a wine glass and it shattered.
All right, so then she finds out that producers found out there was a noise complaint, this and that. Of course, look, when you're litigating a bad relationship, in hindsight, it's going to look awful. And throwing things are awful, and calling people names are awful. Some people say, you used to be grew up, oh, sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but names will never hurt me. Is that how it goes? Sticks and stones will hurt. Either way, point being, names can hurt just as badly, of course. But, you got to draw the line somewhere. You shouldn't call people names. You certainly shouldn't throw glass at people.
Things you just don't come back from. There's like
so she gets into the name
calling. So there's
calling.
a difference.
So she gets into the name calling where she says he called her an effing C word. And then she says he didn't call her that.
He used it. He actually said, why are you being such a fucking cunt? And I said, are you kidding me? You cannot call me that. And he goes, I didn't call you that. I said you were being one. So there's a difference. And like any woman knows that's like the most hurtful thing you could ever say to somebody. And whether he, thought that it was like hurtful in the moment, I'm sure he didn't mean to like really hurt me. Maybe it just like came out of anger. But the fact that he doesn't want to admit that is infuriating because we went to therapy about that. We talked to our therapist and he openly admitted to her, she said, can you see why this would be so hurtful to Victoria? And is there another way that you could have expressed why you were so angry with her? And he was like, his excuse was, well, I have a lot of British friends, so it doesn't mean the same thing that she thinks it does. I've never met any of his British friends, by the way.
All right,
he's
so
from
let's
Jupiter, Florida.
cut this off here. So they
All
kind
that
of have
aside,
this moment here where Nick breaks down laughing because it is a funny moment where he's like, well, my friends in England, and I do understand words have different weight in different places. I don't know how to get into the conversation of like what words you should or could say or not say, but I will say this. I think calling anybody a name deflates the argument and it ruins your point. So he might have had a very good point to be made about Victoria acting a certain way, but by calling her the names, it's almost just like it's the inability to access what you truly want to say. It's like you might want to say, Mom, you don't hug me enough, and I wish that you would treat me with more respect. But instead you go, Mom, you're being a bitch. It's like, we have a hard time articulating our emotions. And that's not an excuse, but that's what it is. So in that conversation, Johnny, it seems, from the therapist that I'm not, Johnny uses names because he can't use his proper words. And Victoria uses throwing glass because she can't properly communicate. You know what I mean? They both have such gaping flaws there, as you see in a relationship that does not work out. All right, we're already late to this, so I didn't even get to all the clips I want to play. I've got 2 more videos coming up where we're going to talk about Johnny's deleted response, plus the full breakdown. Okay, the full breakdown of the timeline. We're going to get into that, so just stick around and we'll be right back. And don't forget my shows tonight and all that stuff. Go on Facebook, Dave Neal's Community, if you want to check that link in the comment section if you want to come to a show. All right, see you in a minute.